Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Laserfiche Empower 2021. If this is your first Empower or your 19th, we're delighted to have you here with us today. It goes without saying that this year's Empower looks entirely different from those of years past. For the first time, this conference is completely virtual. And while we can't all physically gather together in Long Beach, we still have assembled an impressive lineup of inspiring speakers and technology sessions today and over the next few days. While it's been one of the most challenging years that I've experienced as CEO, it's also been one of the most rewarding in surprising and unexpected ways. The resilience and drive of Laserfiche employees, solution providers, users, and the communities we serve is inspiring. I'm so proud to hear about how many of us are able to pivot overnight, finding new ways to continue in the face of uncertainty, accepting and adapting to the new normal. And I'm proud of how our technology has helped create opportunities for customers to survive and even thrive despite the headwinds brought on by this pandemic. But before I go any further, I'd like to highlight some of the outstanding customer examples of how Laserfiche has been used to take this pandemic head on. VistaLink Health, based in Illinois, supports long-term care and senior living communities. When COVID-19 hit, they acted quickly to manage testing data and keep track of many complex and time-sensitive reporting tasks critical to their patients' health. Using Laserfiche, VistaLink has been able to digitally track nursing home COVID-19 testing, eliminate manual data entry and keying errors, and automatically email the test results to the appropriate state and federal authorities. It's truly remarkable. In the South, Montgomery County Hospital District is responsible for providing emergency, medical, and public health services in Montgomery County, Texas. MCHD has been using Laserfiche to automate its processes since 2019. But when the pandemic hit, it changed almost everything seemingly overnight. In the first few weeks of Montgomery County's response, the hospital rapidly rolled out a number of Laserfiche electronic forms and automated processes for contact tracing, exposure reporting, employee symptoms tracking, case investigations, and much more. They even used Laserfiche to launch an e-voucher program for residents to expand COVID-19 testing and track available test results in real time to help officials determine demand for supplies across the county. It is truly amazing. Other local governments also provided a huge, necessary link between healthcare officials and the public across the country. Take Cowlitz County in the state of Washington, for example, which used Laserfiche to create a central repository for information needed by the county's incident management team. Their region was one of the first to undergo sweeping lockdown orders. Their use of Laserfiche helped the county survey local clinics and other healthcare facilities, including long-term care centers, to determine their existing PPE supplies and COVID testing capacity. They also generated automated reports to inform residents of local positivity cases while still protecting patient privacy. Other regions use Laserfiche to combat the economic impact of the pandemic. Oneida County in upstate New York, for example, used Laserfiche to survey local business owners to gather requests for federal stimulus dollars and determine the county's economic sectors with the greatest need. All of these organizations have made significant impact on their communities and are helping to improve patient outcomes and save lives. And for that, we at Laserfiche would like to extend to everyone a heartfelt thank you for all you are doing. You are truly the meaning of essential in this time for showing resolve and ingenuity in the face of extraordinary adversity. As we look ahead, I don't see us ever going back to a pre-COVID world. Companies and employees have embraced remote work. For many of us, it is the fulfillment of a true work-life balance. Commutes have been reduced or eliminated entirely, and so has business travel, contributing to an improved, less stressful frame of mind and even a cleaner natural environment. Digital processes have proven that work can get done efficiently and effectively in a virtual world. While paper has served us well for thousands of years, this pandemic has exposed its glaring limitations. Paper is a black hole for information. It can't be mined or displayed graphically to reveal trends or patterns in our lives. In digital form, information can be analyzed, measured, and managed far more effectively, all while being accessible from anywhere, on any device, at any time. Digital information definitely fuels the growth sector of our economy. Our commitment has always been to make powerful, reliable software that people love to use. That makes all of our jobs easier, allowing all of us to focus on the many challenges of management through our automation of our manual business processes. The result opens up new, innovative ways of thinking and resonates far beyond just our own operations or surroundings. Laserfiche customers, users, and IT professionals are confronting and resolving some of the major challenges facing us as a world community today and every day. The world is going digital, this year more than ever, and business has fundamentally changed as a result. Software that improves business agility, innovation, and security is here to stay. We're excited to bring you a virtual conference this year that offers more one-on-one product training labs, more in-depth technical sessions, and more industry certifications that you can take back to your organizations and communities. We've convened some of the best and brightest minds in the industry as part of our Executive Leadership Summit to showcase how innovative thinking and new ideas are changing how we do business and the technology that is driving that shift. This year has brought a lot of change and a lot of challenges, but I couldn't be more hopeful for what's to come, and I'm inspired by all the positive changes being made by Laserfiche users around the world. I hope that you leave from this week with new ideas, new relationships, and new skills to help you thrive.
So today, I've invited Harry Moseley, Zoom Global Chief Information Officer, to join our Empower virtual stage to tell us how Zoom became so embedded in how we live, connect with our friends and family, go to school, and even work every day virtually. Harry, welcome to Empower 2021.
Thomas, great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Happy to have you here, Harry. So Harry, after 40 years in technology, you retired in December of 2017. So share with us what happened to your retirement, what transpired, and what brought you to work at Zoom as a CIO?
Yeah, it's a lot of people ask me that question because, quite honestly, getting a job after I retired from KPMG in December of 2017 was not part of the plan. I'll keep it short in the interest of time, but the short story is that the need to collaborate locally, nationally, and globally, I think we all know that's really necessary for every organization, every enterprise, every business, governments around the world, etc. To say that we weren't able to do that pre-Zoom, so to speak, was not true, but it didn't work well. It wasn't seamless. It wasn't frictionless. I met Eric Yuan. I understood his vision about creating a seamless and frictionless unified communication platform. I got into the technology architecture and understood how profoundly different this technology architecture was to everything else out there. And so I thought to myself, this could be a lot of fun. And so joined Zoom in March of 2018. Feels like yesterday. It's been just a wonderful journey.
Well, Harry, we're so happy you joined Zoom. I remember Eric reached out when we first started looking at the Zoom platform, and I was so impressed that he took the time to personally reach out and ask if there's any questions we had about Zoom. So he's just such a wonderful person. We've been living with this pandemic for over a year now. At Laserfiche, we quickly moved work from home here in the US on March 13th. Can you imagine, on March 13th, on Friday? And so did many other organizations globally. In fact, most of our audience with us today are sitting in their homes, in their bedrooms, or in other places watching us today. So I'm sure that with so many people on Zoom, that's created an unprecedented demand on a Zoom platform. So Harry, did Zoom anticipate this demand, and how did Zoom scale up and maybe hyperscale up to meet this demand?
Yes, no, I think that's a great question, and you're so right, Thomas. Nobody expected what happened in the February, March, April timeframe. It took the whole world by surprise. So to say, if anybody said that they were planning for it, I think that that's not true, including ourselves. When we go back to December 2019, we were hosting 10 million daily meeting participants on our platform. And then in March, that went to 200 million daily meeting participants and 300 million in April. And so, and with all that growth, we maintained our service levels, our customer satisfaction, net promoter scores, and all of that, I think, brings testament to the fact that the architecture is different, and how Zoom was able to support this amazing growth. The things that came to, sort of that were party to this effort were the following. One, the fact that we always maintain significant capacity above and beyond what we see as being utilized, principally because we do have a view into the growth of the company, and we were constantly upgrading anyway. So that's one. Two is we have great partners who were right there with us to provide us network capacity, servers, storage, whatever we needed. It was made available really quickly. I remember back in, I think it was April, when the New York City schools decided to go with Zoom, and we had to upgrade the network capacity into one of our data centers. What normally took 90 days, it took 72 hours, which is rather fantastic. The third is that we moved a lot of our capacity from our colo data centers into either Amazon or Oracle for our free service to maintain our colo data centers for our enterprise clients. And then the other factor that came to play, which is part of our architecture, is the way our data centers work. So if you take the United States as an example, we have data centers East Coast, Center, and West Coast. And so as the sun comes up in the east, the New York data centers will start getting busy. Center is quiet, California is quiet. But then, sort of if the New York data center needs additional capacity, it can reach out to Denver or it can reach out to Santa Clara and take capacity from that data center over. And then as the sun continues to go west, New York will start to acquiesce, and our Denver and California data centers, if they need additional capacity, can draw on New York. So that's how we managed to work it through.
And Harry, one of the things that Zoom has been in the news for is about security. What was it like at Zoom earlier in 2020 when concerns were raised about meeting disruptions and security? I do know that earlier this month in February, an assistant professor from Boston University actually spoke at a conference about their research when they looked at billions of social media posts and really saw that some of the issues were actually stemmed from insiders sharing links to Zoom meetings externally.
Yes, that was a very challenging time, to say the least. But what we did was we acknowledged it, that sort of, and you have to remember, Thomas, that Zoom was built for the enterprise, where you have great IT organizations who, sort of set up the Zoom platform, do the Zoom training, etc., single sign-on, put all the right controls in place, the right defaults in place. We decided I think it was in February, to give our software away for free to schools, because we fundamentally believe that education is the bedrock for great people, great careers, etc. And if you slow education down, then that has a knock-on effect to higher education and ultimately people getting, supporting industry at large. So schools started using the platform. They would download it, they would install it, they give out the licenses to the teachers. Teachers weren't using waiting rooms, they weren't using, passwords, etc. They were just setting up the class much like a meeting and trusted the students to do the right thing. But you have an 8th grader who thought, oh, well, this is kind of cool. I can send this meeting invite. I can publish it on my social media platform and invite all my friends to come to school with me. That would be kind of cool. And then, so the teacher gets into class, instead of having 25 students, they got like 250 students. Or, other things like the student was able to share content in the middle of class. Well, that's not acceptable for, the student to start sharing photos of their new puppy in the middle of class. That's very disruptive. So a lot of things like that. So what we did was we took the entire engineering team starting on April the 1st, and we, for the next 90 days, did a complete pivot to focus on privacy and security and put a whole halt on our innovation. And so you saw lots of things happen during that period of time. Number one was we introduced, what we call the Privacy Shield now, which is taking the security controls and embedding them behind the shield. So we're putting them right at the fingertips of the host or the co-host. And then we added new features like putting control at the host in terms of who can share content, who can use chat, etc., things of that nature, removing people from a meeting. We also added defaults, like defaults on waiting room and defaults on passwords and things of that nature, and added that by different domains. So in the EDU sector, as an example, different defaults were set. We also upgraded our platform to 5.0, which was AES 256 encryption. We also added a data routing capability for enterprise clients to be able to select which data centers in the world they want their meetings hosted at. And then we did our first acquisition of Keybase, which was a team of cryptographers based here in New York City, to work with the existing team on our end-to-end encrypted service, which we released, I think it was late October. So you could have a fully end-to-end encrypted meeting with 100 participants. And recently that was upgraded now to have 1,000 people participate in an end-to-end encrypted meeting where not even Zoom has the ability to decrypt it. So very excited, about that journey. Last point is we made not just Eric, but the entire executive team made a public statement back in April about how we were going to raise the bar on privacy and security, not just for Zoom, but for the industry at large.
I appreciate what Eric and the executive team did, because I saw those postings that really went a long ways to instilling confidence in the Zoom platform. You talked about education. Last fall, I had the pleasure of teaching a master's course in IT auditing and analytics at USC. I got to tell you, Harry, I really respect those educators out there, whether they're in K-12 or higher education. It is hard work teaching virtually. It's hard for the educators. It's really hard for the students and really hard on the parents as well. I mean, how do you take an immersive classroom and you put it into a two-dimensional screen? I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on distance teaching versus in-person learning, and what's Zoom doing to help innovate to create better experiences?
Yeah, so Thomas, you're so right. It's kind of like it's really hard on the teachers and really hard on the students. My wife actually is the CIO for the school district here where we live, and so I hear all of this firsthand. I hear the stories about the teachers. I hear the stories about the kids. I hear the stories about the parents. So it's very challenging, and when everybody pivoted because the schools started closing back in the February-March timeframe, the thinking was, well, send the students home with devices, send the teachers home with devices, set up a meeting, and continue teaching like you used to. What everybody didn't seem to realize, but I think you just said it a moment ago, is that sort of in-person teaching is different to distance teaching, and in-person learning is different to distance learning. So there's like a retraining that had to occur there. So one of the things that we did do was during the summer, actually, we conducted what we called Zoom Academy, which was a free program that we conducted, and we had 35,000 educators go through the program, explaining them how to do distance teaching, how to set it up, and how to have a great experience in the virtual classroom. Beyond that, sort of we've got a bunch of different things that we're working on from a visual perspective to make it more, a better experience for the kids and a better experience for the teacher. So, as they say in life, watch the space.
Now, I understand at Zoom that 1/3 of your workforce have never stepped inside of a Zoom office. So how do you at Zoom instill a spirit and a culture of collaboration and innovation when your employees have never met each other in person?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's hard. It's like there's no easy answer to that question. I think it takes a lot of persistence, and it's using video is the new voice. So meeting people, experiencing, interacting with people frequently is a common part of it. And then we have, bi-weekly all hands meetings, so bi-weekly town halls, if you will, where everybody gets together and various different executives share what's going on in their different areas of the company. We have an open forum with all of our employees globally for anybody to ask questions. All the questions get answered. But there's no easy answer. I think that, sort of the world of sort of leading and managing has also changed in the last 12 months, along with everything that's changed. And so leading and managing is different too. So let me just talk for a moment on that. So pre-pandemic, pre-virtual, so to speak, we'd manage by, going into the office, being with the team, walking, talking, seeing people, etc. In this virtual world, you don't have that sort of same experience. So in the past, it's like it was, leading was managing people to get work. Now we don't do that anymore. It's not about managing the people. It's about managing the work. And, that's a huge degree of trust that you have to have with the people. There's no more schedule anymore. There's n degrees of freedom. And so it's a different way to manage. What a lot of us are doing is the notion of sort of making a list of 5 or 6 people every day to call and just check in and see, well, how are you? How are you doing? Welcome to the firm. Let me introduce myself, and things of that nature. So there's different leaders are behaving in different ways. So I think that we're all working through this, how to maintain the culture, as I put it, maintain the culture across the digital divide.
Harry, you talked before about Zoom Gallery and also about introverts and extroverts in meetings and how Zoom actually levels that playing field. At some point, we're going to start getting back to the office. We're going to have a good percentage of our workforce working from home, in their bedrooms, in their closets, wherever. And you're going to have, 4 to 10 people in a conference room again. What is Zoom going to do with their tech platform to create a consistent experience, whether you're an introvert or extrovert in these group meetings?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great point. And yes, it's like, the expectation from everything, that I've seen and talked to other industry leaders, the expectation is that 20% of the people want to work from anywhere 5 days a week. 20% of the people want to work from an office 5 days a week. So 60% of the people want to work from an office or work from anywhere 2 to 3 days a week. So on the average, you're going to have at any point, at any point in time, 50% of the people in an office. So what are we doing to support that? We, On February the 3rd, we announced a variety of new features to the Zoom platform. The notion of the virtual receptionist. So this is, instead of walking up to a desk in an office building and seeing a person, there's now a virtual receptionist. It's a D10Me, and you can brand it to your company's color scheme and logo, name, etc. So it's a way to sort of virtually enter a building. So this is like pretty cool stuff. We also introduced a personal tethering of devices. So taking your smartphone, connecting it to the Zoom room. So when you go into the Zoom room, you don't have to touch any of the controls. All the controls are now on your smart device, and you can control the Zoom room right off your smart device. So it's kind of the way I characterize that, Thomas, is taking a shared space and making it personal. We also launched our first iteration of voice activation. So when you go into the Zoom room, you can say, sort of, Alexa, start Zoom meeting, things of that nature. And so the voice activation in conjunction with the personal controls makes it for a very safe environment.
Well, we really appreciate you being with us here at Empower 2021. Just want to thank Harry Moseley, the Global CIO of Zoom, for helping to kick off our Empower 2021 conference. Thank you.